Hey everyone, welcome. You caught me in the middle of trying to sort out some incense and trying to source some fire. I found it, so we're all good. So let's get this wee light. Malamir's here and listening, but not reading comments to avoid worsening the vertical love to all. Hey Malamir, I'm sorry that you're still suffering. I did see. I saw that you posted. In fact, maybe I'll just stick this here. Try to work out where to put my incense, but that's going to do it. The smoke-free incense that's currently smoking all over me. Yeah, I saw your post, and I saw that you had your appointment that was inconclusive. I'm really sorry to hear that. I was hoping that they'd be able to pinpoint what's going on for you, but yeah, it's not the news we're hoping for. This is going to be a readings live, folks. I just felt like slinging cards today. It's been a while since I've done a whole live where I'm just doing readings for people, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to do one. So yeah, let me just turn the table camera on. I've put down my wee car made a big bang outside. Put down a wee tablecloth, a wee skeleton Halloween themed one since we're in October. I need to change my StreamYard actually so that I'm in keeping with the theme. So any questions for the cards, just pop them in the chat. I'll see them because the chat's quite quiet just now, so don't need to really worry about capital letters or tagging or anything like that. At least not for now. I've got a couple of decks here. I've got this is the Illuminated Carol Herzog deck, and I've got the indie version of the Lightseers currently, but obviously I've got my library of decks behind me, so I can always jump into one of them if I feel like it. So I'll probably just open it up with a general reading. Usually when I do a general reading, I get like, you know how I always do them for my sample readings. Like when I do a deck walkthrough or something, I usually do like a sample reading at the end, and I normally get somebody comment say, I felt like that was for me. So I think general readings are normally quite good. Hey Robbie, how are you? It's been a while since I've seen you here. I'm just really just throwing cards today. I'm just doing readings. So if any of the three you want a reading, then pop your question in the chat. I believe that I think that Gerald's live as well. So some of our regular friends might be over hanging out with Gerald. What I'll do is I'm going to pop a link in the chat to Gerald's live, so that you can pop over and say hi to him if you want. I believe that Gerald is doing readings as well, but his chat's usually better than mine. Right, a general reading just for everybody, for the collective, and let's make it a wee elemental reading, shall we? I enjoy doing them. Okay, so for fire, we've got the Three of Swords. For air, we've got the Two of Cups. For water, we've got the Moon. And for earth, we've got the Queen of Pentacles. In terms of our passions, in terms of what's driving us, what matters to us, and what's kind of taking up most of their attention, there's a wee bit of difficulty there just now with that Three of Swords. the Three of Swords is a card about, expanding your mind. It's not a card about learning, but I mean, there's no getting away from this imagery, right? There's pain in that. Now, you might be learning, you might be kind of expanding your mind through this pain, but there's pain nonetheless. So going through a wee bit of a difficult period just now in terms of the Three of Swords, and we're maybe kind of seeing that play out emotionally, because if I jump to the water card here, we've got the moon. The moon is that kind of a period of uncertainty. It's that the kind of the difficult zones that we all have to kind of navigate in our lives. When we're not in our comfort zone, when we push ourselves outside our comfort zone, the moon represents that place where you feel as though things have been turned upside down and you've not quite accepted the new norm yet. You're still wanting to claw your way back to what you're used to what you're comfortable with. So whatever the difficulty that we're seeing in our kind of our fire area, fire is funny, right? Because air, we can usually pinpoint, we can say, right, that's our mental, that's our mind, that's the way we're thinking, that's like how we're responding to challenges, it's how we're communicating with people. We can be quite specific about what air means. Similarly with water, it's our relationships with others, how we're connecting with other people, it's our emotions, it's our dreams. With fire, fire is such a dynamic element. It can mean a whole different host of things, and it really just depends on the person. For a lot of people, it'll be our career, it'll be our jobs, right? It's whatever the thing in your life is that you feel that gives you purpose, that gives your life meaning. It's the place where you feel that you're making a difference, right? So if it might be a passion project, it might be something that you're working on that you're really passionate about, it's taking a lot of your attention. It might be your job, whatever that fire is for you. There's difficulty there with that Three of Swords. All right, there might be learning in that difficulty, there might be expansion, but it's difficult nonetheless. And we see that reflecting in the emotions. Now, the mind feels a wee bit more together. Logically, we feel as though we're things make sense. We see this marriage of equals here. We see things kind of marrying up nicely in the mind. All right, so when we look at things logically, everything makes sense. It's just our emotions have still got to catch up. And then finally, when we look at the earth is just kind of everything together. It's how things appear to the outsider. It's our material lives. It's often it's just our material standing in the world. The Queen of Pentacles suggests that when all is said and done, things are secure. When all is said and done, things are looked after. We're in a place where we are nurtured, where we can grow. It just doesn't feel like that right now. When we think about it and we look at things logically, we see that, we appreciate and we recognize that we're in a good place, but it's just something's happened. There's been a clash. There's been something where it's just kind of a turning things upside down a wee bit, and our emotions have still need that wee bit of time to catch up with our heads. So there we go. That's the general. That's where we kind of roughly are. As a collective, I have to say that feels like it makes a lot of sense for me. That maybe that reading was for me. Like I said, there's always someone who will say, "Oh, I feel like that was for me." Well, I'm that someone today. So yeah, let me jump down. So say hi to Malamir, Deanne, Robbie. Deanne's asked a wee question. That's great. I've got Debbie from Aquarius Owl. Hi, Debbie. How are you doing? Let's see. Kiss JG. It's nice to meet you. Okay. So let me. I don't really have any public service announcements. I don't have any admin things to talk about. So let's just jump in with that. The only thing I'd say is, there may be some questions that I'm not comfortable answering, or maybe I'm just not the right reader for you, and that's fine. You'll always get that, So, just bear with me. I reserve the right to, to refuse any question. But I very rarely have to, if I'm honest. So it's not something I'm worried about. It's just something I always like to cover myself and say. Right, Deanne. What should I do with my time on Monday? Vela will be at my cousin's house that day, so it's wide open. Would love some direction. Okay. The Emperor flew out, but we'll stick him to the side for now. The Emperor flew out, and then we get two kings in the night. Right, okay. I'm just going to say what I feel like, what the way that this hits me, and when you break it down to the individual cards, this might not be the traditional meanings or interpretations, right? So that's another thing. Sometimes I'll just, I'll interpret the cards out what I think they're saying. So I feel like, and I do this myself, so I don't work on Fridays, and Fridays for me are hit or miss whether I'm productive or whether I'm just a lazy bitch all day and sit and do nothing, right? I feel like this is saying, there's that, you're kind of a wee bit of a risk there where you might end up feeling like you've not done anything with your day. Okay, that's the High Priestess, kind of a sitting, just inactive. Now, don't get me wrong. The whole point in the High Priestess is there's a lot of value in taking no action sometimes. All right, and we all need those days where we just sit about and watch the telly all day, right? So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think what you maybe need to identify is, if I go through this Monday having not really done anything, am I going to feel good about it, or am I going to be annoyed at myself because I could have done anything and I've chosen to not really do much? Maybe you'll be quite happy. You said, what, actually, a wee day of just chilling out is exactly what I need right now. Which is fair enough. But the fact that you've got the Emperor and these two kings tells me that you're maybe going to want a wee bit more structure. You're maybe going to want a wee bit more control and productivity over your day. All right. So just bear that in mind. Your vice card being the King of Pentacles, maybe there's some boring house finance admin stuff that you could be doing. Maybe there's something that could be looked at. It may well even be getting your food shopping done early on in the week and getting that out of the way, or it's somehow kind of a just gaining control over that home environment. The King of Cups as the outcome just suggests that you're creating a happy home environment for your family at the end of the day, and I think things are going to turn out good no matter what. But just bear in mind what I said. Think about what you want to have achieved at the end of the day, and then go about it accordingly. Think all this king energy and that emperor energy. There's definitely something like, it's like gaining control over something, bringing order into something, or even just wielding. I don't really know how to put it into words. See, I think the emperor and as wielding the four elements, and each of the kings, they're kind of a masters of their element. So if there's a way of kind of just using your gifts, I guess, is the cheesy way to say it, that day, then have a think about it. Very vague, wishy-washy answer, I know. I don't know, Deanne. Maybe I'll pull some more cards for you, like further into the weekend, and see see if I get a better answer than that. Something more specific. We like to be specific, don't we? But thank you for your question. Robbie, for me, I'd ask the cards, how can I best handle stress and anxiety with general day-to-day life? But we can always do another time. Well, what we can do it here. We can do it just now. I'll do a wee reading, a 3-card reading for you, and anytime you're over, we can do a more in-depth reading. I'm always happy to play with my cards. Okay. Handling stress and anxiety with general day-to-day life. I feel like we could all benefit from some advice on this, couldn't we? But we're asking this specifically for Robbie. Hope you guys can hear me okay, by the way. I know with this microphone, I'm still kind of a to and fro about whether I'm whether I want to just go back to using the headset thing. Okay, Robbie. This is the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is like so the Knights are all about action, constantly on the move. And the Wands is the fire element, so very dynamic, very fast-paced, very kind of a constant changing action, things happening, right? So what I'm saying is you've got the action of action, and this is describing the general situation, this card. So this is like your life in a nutshell right now. So lots of high energy, lots of movement, lots of action, which, I mean, I know you pretty well, and I would say that makes sense because you're constantly on the go. You're constantly thinking about something. You're constantly doing work on that blooming phone, even though it's like 9 o'clock at night. So yeah, I suppose that's something to be aware of, is that obviously that drives you in a big way, but at the same time, that'll also be feeding the stress and the anxiety and stuff. So as much as you get positives from that, you need to recognize that some of the kind of a more negative stuff could also be coming from that as well, from that fast-paced, quick-moving environment. The Judgment card is your advice, right? So the way I look at the Judgment card, it's like, call it what this represents, right, is the final judgment. So if you're familiar with your kind of a religious references, it's like the final judgment. At the end of the world, everything's called out. Everyone recognizes all of the stuff that they've done right and they've done wrong. It's all called out, and then they draw a line under it and they go over it, and everyone gets this resurrection. That's what we're seeing. This resurrection. The horns being blown and everyone's kind of arising from the coffins. The whole point in Judgment, that kind of a recognizing everything is big. There's lots of people that will try and get through this, but and skip the kind of a learning from the past thing, right? But that learning from the past thing, that recognizing your past, like praise yourself for what you've done well, learn from what you've not done so well, learn from past mistakes. That's important, right? But then after you've kind of done that, let's bring it back to the context of your question. So to me, this is about not looking at the situation through rose-tinted glasses. This is about being completely 100% honest with yourself. I suppose it's just about taking a long, hard, look at the situation and saying, right, I'm in this environment. Where does my stress and anxiety come from? I know we can't always pinpoint exactly. These things aren't exactly, they're not logical. I appreciate that. But is there a way that you can look at the stuff that's going on and say, right, okay, well, there's a lot of this going on right now, and that is a big factor in what's making me feel like this. So it's about being honest about that situation. So look at that situation and say, yeah, right, okay, I get there's lots of stress and anxiety and everything else that comes out of that. But what is it that's stopping me from just wiping that out, from moving on from that? What benefits am I getting from that? Okay. So for example, you might look at it and say, right, well, it's my job. My job is what's creating all of this fast-paced, high energy. It's the source of everything, really. It's what stresses me out. It's what makes me feel anxious. It's what makes me feel like I don't have enough time to do anything. But at the same time, so that's recognizing where the problem's coming from. But at the same time, you need to look at your job and be honest with yourself and say, right, okay, well, at the same time, I need to make money. My job is how I make a living. It's how I can afford to put food on the table and pay my mortgage and all those kind of things. I also get a real sense of purpose from my job. So, a big part of my feeling of self-worth comes from being able to do the good job that I do. So it's not like I can just kind of just pop it to the side and say, right, we'll just it's that's what I'm meaning. It's about kind of looking at everything logically and saying, right, okay, recognizing all of the positives and all of the negatives, right? So do that. Then you need to plan a route forward. Essentially, you need to learn from everything. You need to kind of take in all of that information. You need to learn from it, and you need to say to yourself, right, how do I move forward with this? And that's the second and the crucial bit of the judgment card is it's moving forward. It's drawing a line under things and moving forward, taking the learnings from it. Forgiving yourself for all the shit that's happened, praising yourself for all the good stuff, and then moving on. Okay. And then finally, we have the Queen of Swords coming out. So that normally I use this card as the kind of the outcome. Now, the Queen of Swords is like a no bullshit figure. Okay, she's a really good kind of a teacher. Okay, she's really good at imparting information about teaching, about showing you how to do stuff. But she does not have any time for bullshit. She does not have any time for like someone who won't own up to their mistakes or be responsible for their own learning. So that's kind of what we see coming up for you. All right. So that tells me that you're going to be working with someone like that. Now I'm saying she because it's a queen card. Doesn't necessarily need to be a she. It can be a they. It can be a he. It can be whatever. So just know that doesn't necessarily mean a female, but someone who you can learn from, or maybe these are shoes that you need to step into. Who knows? But the Queen of Swords, that kind of very logical, very intelligent, very quick-minded type person is what we see coming up for you. So I suppose your job is to work out whether these are shoes that you need to step into, or is this someone who's coming up for you? Is this someone you need to be looking out for, who you can learn from, and who ultimately, again, to go back to the question, is going to help you deal with all of that stress and anxiety and stuff. Okay. So I hope that was helpful. I've got a coffee here, by the way, and there might be a wee cheeky bit of Bailey's in it. So cheers, everyone. That is a decaf because, it's 20 odd past 9. But I'm enjoying it. So, Robbie, I hope that was helpful for you. Could do a PSA. What's a PSA, Malamir? Is that something to do with the reading? Hi, Lady Silver. There's not a list, Techie. It's just pop your question in the chat. In fact, maybe I'll stick on a wee banner so that. There we go. Although I don't really need it in capitals, but that's fine. Go. Lovely Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Cool. Right, Robbie, thanks very much for your question. Oh, Publix. Right, I've got you. Yeah, so did we get did you, let me see, did you put the link? You did. So Malamir's site, find out about the new Cat Aura Tarot. So Malamir's got a new deck coming out. It's called the Cat Aura Tarot. There's a link in the chat for you to go and have a look at it. Definitely check it out. I'm hoping that maybe I'll be able to get a wee catch up with Malamir at some point about her new deck. Maybe if I put you on the spot in front of everyone. No, I'm joking, because I know that with the vertical and stuff, you're just struggling to keep up with chats and stuff. But yeah, whenever you're feeling up to it, Malamir, we should definitely have a wee catch up live. Okay. So Kiss JG is Taurus, and what is coming towards me? Okay, what's coming towards Kiss JG? Okay. Oh, got the Wheel of Fortune. There's definitely stuff coming up that you wouldn't have expected and you can't foresee. The Wheel of Fortune card is like, well, it's what it might suggest, it's all fated. It's, whatever way you want to put it. I always think of the idea of chaos when I look at the Wheel of Fortune. Now, I don't mean chaos in a bad way. I don't mean that chaos is coming up. What I mean is like the idea that everything comes from chaos, and to chaos everything returns. I mean that like there's no telling what's happening. It's anybody's guess type thing. But what I would say is, when we look at the kind of a progression here, when we look that we're feeding from the moon card, which is we were talking about it earlier, the moon can leave us feeling a wee bit unsettled and uncertain. The Wheel of Fortune card coming after that tells me that things are looking up, things are looking, there's a change for the positive that's going to happen. Okay, now because we're starting out with the Two of Cups, that could mean that we're in the realm of relationships with other people. Doesn't necessarily have to be, but just the Cups card, the moon is like a Pisces card, so there's water there as well. Very watery reading. So to me, this is talking about emotions. It's talking about relationships. It's talking about just connections to other people in general. So if you potentially right now are maybe starting up a connection with someone else, the moon makes me feel like you're in uncharted territory. So maybe maybe this is a relationship that you wouldn't normally find yourself in. Maybe it's kind of just a bit of a different place, and you're not really sure how things are going to go. the Wheel of Fortune suggests to me that there's change coming up, and it's looking up. Things are looking up. Things are going to change for the positive. Let me just take a wee second just to kind of a look at the reading that's in front of me and see if there's anything else that comes to mind. I suppose the only other thing that I'm going to say is, and it's related to this moon card. With the moon card, I kind of touched on this earlier on. We tend to have this knee jerk reaction to want to go back to what we're familiar with. We want to almost reverse things back to we want to go back to our comfort zone. We don't always like going outside there, and when we're talking about relationships, quite often that's maybe why some relationships don't maybe work out how we would want them to. It's because we get to a point in the relationship and we get the fear, we just feel as though it's getting too real too fast, and it's like, no, actually, no, I'm not quite ready. Let's just leave it. We kind of just abandon ship, just because we don't know what's going on. We find ourselves in those unfamiliar waters, and rather than charging on ahead, we'll jump out. I think the advice here though is go with it. Go with it. Take it a wee bit longer than you maybe normally would, because there's definitely some. I think you'll be surprised. The dark can be a very scary time, but when the sun comes back up, and we see everything in the light, you can sometimes be surprised. So try and push past those uncertain times. Try and push past those feelings of imposter syndrome, of fear, of whatever it is that the moon is representing for you, and try and get yourself through. Because if you can kind of stick with it and get yourself through to this more positive time, you're going to be really pleasantly surprised, is what I think. Okay. I'm just reading your comments, Kisk JG. So it's to do with your sisters. So you're not right. So, okay, so there's a wee bit of trust issue there. Okay. So I'm sorry to hear that it's going to be a difficult time for you. The advice here seems to be telling you to kind of just stick with it, to go with your gut, stick with it, and see what comes out of it. Okay. But yeah, lots of love to you. I hope things work out. Oh, I need to take this shirt off because I'm roasting. I did not think I was going to be this warm. You're very welcome for the reading. Okay. Oh yeah, Techie had asked a question. Oh, so did Debbie. Debbie says, "What the heck is going on at my work?" I'm feeling like that as well, Debbie. Can I just say, do I want to change over? We change Rooney over at the Lightseers. I've got the Indie Lightseers out today. So for anyone who's kind of a popping in and out, you've got any questions for the cards, just pop them in the chat and I'll get to them. I think I've only got a couple of questions left. Right, what is happening in Debbie's work? Four of Wands. Okay. The Sun. And then Death in reverse. Just by your question, it feels like there's something shitty or something not quite right or uncertain happening at your work. And yet I'm getting these cards. These two make me feel like there's a celebration of something. You know, it's like we're celebrating something good has happened, and we're kind of just enjoying that energy. There's lots of fire energy here with the Four of Wands and the Sun. So, yeah, lots of kind of a healing. It's like this feels like something's improving for the better, you know, even with the Death and Rebirth card, it's like there's like a transformation. But it feels, I don't feel bad about it. I feel like they are peeing on my leg and telling me it's raining. Okay. Well, my cards don't seem to think that it's. I mean, the situation is the Four of Wands, right? So it's the Four of Wands represents. Oh gosh, my camera's going all funny. That's not the best, is it? Let's deactivate that. And then. Nope. Okay, hang on. So I'm deactivating the camera. I'm going to unplug it, plug it back in. I mean, it's not the end of the world if we can't see my face, as long as we can see the cards, but it's only polite. That looks a wee bit better. Yeah. Four of Wands, it does feel like some sort of kind of a achievement. It feels like an achievement. It feels like a milestone. Not the end of the road by any means, but it feels like there's some sort of kind of a validation. It's like, right, okay, yeah, that, you know, phase one complete, well done. We can move on to phase two, right? It's that kind of a thing. The advice for you is the Sun. We see this person just reveling in the energy, reveling in the sun's rays. You know, enjoying them and being energized by them, being healed by them. So that seems to be telling you to just like ride the wave, enjoy what's happening. Again, doesn't make sense based on what you're telling me. So, and what's coming out of it is death and rebirth. It's a change. It's a transformation. It's one thing coming to an end, but a new beginning coming with it. Okay. So the amount of work has drastically dropped, but they insist that our jobs are safe. Right. Okay. I've got you. So I'm going to tell you what the cards are saying, you know, in relation to that. But just remember, you know, I don't need to tell you, Debbie, you know not to base everything off of a tarot reading. But I feel like what the cards are saying is, in actual fact, just this once, you can, you know, it doesn't feel like anything bad's happening. Even with the death card, this death card feels quite, you know, it feels like a positive change that's happening that we see through Death's Hood. The Four of Wands, we see these people celebrating, so maybe they're taking a well-earned break from working hard, is what we're seeing here. And again, we're seeing that repeated in the Sun. So this represents the situation. This represents the drop in work. The kind of a people maybe having some time to, you know, collect their thoughts, to relax, to enjoy themselves. The Sun seems to be telling you to enjoy it whilst it lasts. The death card represents some sort of change coming up. What that change is, I'm not sure. But it could be a different, portfolio of work coming in where that, you're going to have your work cut out for you after that. But what I'm getting from this is enjoy it whilst it lasts. You give me, you get 500. Gosh, I don't even want to laugh at that. It doesn't bear thinking about. But yeah, hopefully it's just just one of those things, and it kind of naturally sorts itself out. Okay, Techie One, you're next. You've asked, how would the music assistant job be for me? Okay, the music assistant job for Techie One. All right. Well, it's opening up different options for you, but let's take the cards in turn. So the Three of Pentacles describes the general situation. The Three of Pentacles is a nice card to describe a job because it is a work card, it is a business as usual card that shows people working hard. You're going to be able to collaborate with with other people to create something new, something that perhaps you wouldn't have been able to do on your own. I see you enjoying working with your colleagues. I see you kind of being happy about your creative output, being happy about the work that you're able to do. I generally see you enjoying your work. Your advice card is the Queen of Cups. Now, the Queen of Cups is the water of water. It's all about connections. It's all about, the Queen of Cups creates a safe space where we can be safe emotionally, where we can kind of say how we feel, where we can express just express ourselves without fear of being judged. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind. The bottom line is she's the queen of connections. She's the queen of relationships. She's the queen of kind of how she gets on with other people. She kind of she understands people emotionally. Given that we're looking at a situation where you are working closely with with teammates or with people around about you, that's something to bear in mind. Those are perhaps shoes that you're to step into. Just be that emotional safe space for people, and think about your connections with other people. Build those connections because they're going to be important. Now I say that it's opening up options for you. There's choices coming up and difficult choices as well. Now, difficult choices isn't always necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes the reason that choices are difficult is because they're two really, really good options that we've got. We've created some really good opportunities for ourselves, and we get to a point where we're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that because I'm really enjoying what I'm doing right now, but this would be such a great opportunity. It's that kind of a thing. That's where I see this going. But we need to get there first, okay? So I see this being really positive for you. I see it opening up doors for you. I see you being able to collaborate and work really well with other people and build those connections. And I feel as though people are going to look up to you as well, and that you're going to be a kind of an ear, a listening ear, a place where people can go and someone that people can go and kind of a chat to, and someone that people can trust. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind. I'm not Irish, I'm Scottish, so just over the Irish Channel. Whereabouts are you from, Techie? And what time is it where you are? Right, I'm not sure if I've got any more questions here to answer. what I do, of course, I'm with the lovely Kathy. This reminds me why I hate table covers. I really do. They look cool and stuff, but they move about, they bunch up. I've got to fix them, and you're from Virginia. Oh, very nice. Like to visit Scotland. Love travelling to Europe. Yeah, Scotland's a nice place to visit. There's lots of lovely places up north of Scotland. That's not where I'm from. I'm from Glasgow. I'm from like central Scotland, but yeah, it's there are some really beautiful places up there. So it's a nice place to travel to. Right, Kathy, let's have your questions. So, I've been focusing on serious things lately, my career, plus I've started training with the Samaritans, and I've forgotten how to laugh and have fun. Do you see an easygoing, fun weekend? Oh, so are we reading for the weekend? Okay. Oh, well. Three of Pentacles again. Page of Swords. And Four of Swords. Okay. Are you supposed to be working this weekend, Kathy? Because this is the again, I'm using the same spread. My general go-to 3-card spread is situation, advice, and outcome. Okay. So the situation is the Three of Pentacles card. So if you're not supposed to be working, then potentially we're seeing you kind of getting together with other people and having a good time. I still feel as though that something's been worked on, something's been woven, something's being created. The Three of Pentacles isn't just about going out and having a jolly. There's purpose to it. There's productive output. Okay, there's building something. There's learning something. I feel like what the Page of Swords is saying is, if you want a weekend where you're laughing and you're having fun, then you need to create it. Okay, it's not just going to come along and present itself to you. You need to phone up, phone up like just your gang, your people, your crew. You need to kind of arrange it. Say, right, you know what, I'm having a good weekend this weekend, no matter what. Saturday night, let's do it. Let's get a bottle of wine. Come round, I'll get my cards out, we'll do some readings, we'll watch Naked Attraction. It's going to be great. We're going to have an amazing time. We're going to have a right good laugh, and we're going to chat and talk about handbags and whatever, order Dominoes. Robbie, I think I've just worked out what would be a really good weekend for us. Just saying, if you're still here. But anyway, yeah, I feel like, but yeah, the Page of Swords is saying it's about being innovative. It's about actually having the spark yourself, having the idea yourself. You need to create it. You need to don't wait for someone else to arrange it. You need to be the one to actually sort it out. Four of Swords. Could this be you hungover on Sunday, having a wee day in bed after having a great Saturday? Who knows? The Four of Swords is a kind of a card of rest and stuff. So, I mean, again, I would just stress that, unless you kind of grab the bull by the horns and create this this environment that you want to be in, then you may well find yourself having a quiet one. Which might be nice. It might be good. Maybe your Four of Swords is sitting in your dressing gown, your slippers, with your feet up, with a cup of tea, and watching some comedy shows on the telly. And maybe that would be an amazing weekend for you. In which case, brilliant. But again, you need to be the architect. You need to be the one to do it. So go for it. You're off this weekend, just my mind overworks. Right, okay. Yeah, I'm the exact same. Oh. Okay. I hope that was helpful, Kathy. Oh, that was Deanne that put your link in the chat, Malamir. What's the weather like just now in Scotland? The weather is it's hit or miss, to be honest with you. It depends what day you ask on. Some days it's pouring it down with rain. Some days it's quite sunny. Some days it's not raining, but it's still really cold. So it's really your luck just now. Hi Laurie, how are you doing? Let's see. Amira, I'm not really sure if I understand your question. I'm going to read it out loud and see if it sparks something in my brain, if it clicks. So, hi, can you please tell me how many number of weeks? So, how many weeks do you have to wait for your full subliminal results for your appearance? I'm not really sure. Let me just. Subliminal. So is it subliminal audios changing your appearance? So is this something like that, subliminal, or like a sound frequency on YouTube with affirmations to manifest what you want, and what you want is to change is it to change your appearance? Is that what you're looking for? Is that what you're asking about? Yeah, they have sound and music and their affirmations to it. Right, okay. So you're asking, right? Okay, I've got you. So how many weeks? I'm just trying to think if this is even a question that I can answer. Because I can kind of do some timing. I've got a bit of a technique for timing, but I'm just I want to know how many weeks till I get my full desired appearance. What I'll do for you, I'm going to pull out my Rider Waite cards. I'm going to do a timing reading for you. I say this like just without judgment and anything like that, but I am a serious believer that if you want to manifest something in your life, you need to, as well as like positive affirmations and things like that. All of that stuff can really help, but you need to actually physically do work in order to manifest that. If it's a physical manifestation that you're trying to, if it's something physical you're trying to manifest, then you need to do something physical to achieve that. That's bear in mind that that's what I believe, so that will probably come through in this reading. Now, what I'm going to do for you, I can't do a reading where I can say, right, it's going to be X amount of weeks. What I can do though is I can use the cards to kind of look at just look at shifts in certain areas of your life. I can look and see, right, usually I say in the next year, when are certain shifts going to happen, and what do you need to do in order to to manifest those shifts, So that's the way that I read the cards, and that's what I'm going to do for you. And we'll ask specifically about your appearance. We'll ask specifically about shifts in your physical self. But I wanted to be upfront about that, and just be honest, just so that you know where I'm coming from. Right, I might need to. This could not tell. This could be. It's just not going to tell me. Just so you know. Sometimes the answer with timing readings is, there's just no way of knowing. So again, just being upfront. Okay. So what are we asking about? We're looking at shifts in your physical being. We're going to ask the cards to look at when we see that happening. Okay. Okay, Amina. Right away, we're getting an answer. So 3 of Cups. Oh, my cards are cut off. Right, okay. So these are the cardinal signs. The cardinal water is... So it's Cancer. So we are in the middle decan of Cancer. And Cancer is... That's at some point in... We're both not long past Cancer, have we? Yeah, Cancer goes from... the 21st of June up to the 21st of July. Is that right? Keep me right, people. My astrology isn't always the best. So the middle decan, you're basically talking the start of July. Okay. Where are we just now? We're in October, so like that's a hell of a long time where it's talking about a shift in your appearance. Now I'm not saying that this is going to be as a result of what you're asking about. But that's what my cards are saying. They're saying we're going to see a shift in your kind of a physical being around about mid next year, the start of July next year. Sometimes there will be some cards that come out reversed at the start, and that's saying, right, in order to achieve this happening at this time, these are the things that you need to do. But this is just like, no, there's not even anything that you're going to have to put into this. It's almost outside your control. Starting next July, you're going to see there's going to be some sort of change that happens. Okay, so I don't even know if that's helpful. I'm sorry if it's not, but that's about the only way that I read that I could answer that question. Seen it work before on people on TikTok. Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter what. At the end of the day, what I believe, whether it works or not. I just felt it was only right to be upfront with you, I suppose. Okay. Kathy says, sounds good to me. I can't be arsed going out these days, but pizza, cards, and wine sounds awesome. I need to make it happen. Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah, Amira, that was what that reading would suggest. What I was doing was looking at when you might expect to see some shifts in your physical being, and they said the start of July, the second deacon in Cancer, so start of July. Oh. Well, we don't have any more questions. Unless, Laurie, have you put a question in somewhere? I want to make sure that I'm not missing anyone. No, you're not. I can just see. I can see you saying hello, and then I can see you saying hi to Deanne. You're welcome, Amira. Good luck on manifesting that change. Kira, you've asked how should I phrase a question? Well, say it how it comes naturally to you. Ask the question. How do I phrase a question to receive the clearest answer? I hope that's not the question you want me to put to the cards. Be interested to see how they answer that, wouldn't it? But just say the question how it comes naturally to you. That's the best that we can. That's the most we can ask for, really. Yeah, just ask how it's truest to you, and I'll do my best to answer it. Right, let's take a wee drink of coffee. Oh, my incense is finished, so I'm not engulfed in smoke anymore. Let's open up another deck. So I've got my blue box Rider-Waite Smith here. It's not a blushing fool, but it's around that time era, so let's do some readings with this now. So, Kira, if you want to ask, then stick your question in the chat. If that was the question you want me to put to the cards, then let me know. Okay, should I apply for the job I really want, but I'm not necessarily qualified for? I know what my opinion is, but let's ask the cards. In case you were wondering, my opinion is go for it. With these things, if you don't ask, you don't get. And a lot of the time, it's the as much as you might feel like you're not qualified for something, you're never going to be able to determine exactly what the hirer is looking for. You know, maybe you are exactly what they need, and they just don't know it, and you just don't know it yet. So always go for it. The worst thing that can happen is you don't get the job and you're in the same position as what you were before you applied. But let me see what the cards say. Okay. Jeez, oh, Chariot, Justice, the World. I mean, aside from everything else that's here, that you've got the World card coming out as your outcome. The World card is like arguably the best card in the deck. The World card is like the fully achieved. It's the full culmination of the major arcana. It's it's the world dancer. She's literally dancing in the sky. The world shows up when you are exactly where you need to be, exactly where you want to be, when you've kind of realized your ambitions, and you've kind of achieved your goals. Usually the world is a bit of it's like that kind of a perfection that we all aim for, but it's really hard to get to, right? But it suggests that the path that you're on, or you know well, yeah, the path that you're on is taking you to a really, really good place. Okay, so just based on that one card, you've got nothing to lose. Go for it. Why not? Like I say, what's the worst that could happen? You don't get the job. Even if you don't get the job, that just means that you're not meant to get that job, because the world card is like it's just giving you a bit of a boost and saying, do you know what, like you're going to end up where you're meant to be. Let's kind of pull the other cards. We've got three major cards, right? So this really matters to you. This is really important to you. Um, and yeah, it's almost, I almost hesitate saying this, because that way you don't want to put pressure on something, but this is the kind of thing that will affect you for a long, long time. This is a big life stage. This is a big fork in the road when it comes to your story. So the chariot is the situation. The reason I'm hesitating is because I'm thinking about the context of the question. It would help if I actually had the question on the screen, wouldn't it? So should I apply for the job that I really want, but I'm not necessarily qualified for? I mean, I feel like the chariot is you kind of we see the chariot here with the two sphinxes, one black, one white. To me, the chariot represents just managing all of the different things that we've got going on in our lives, and managing them in such a way that we're moving forward, that our lives are moving forward in a positive way, in the best way for us. So this is potentially you wrestling with the decision. It's you kind of taking into account all of the different factors. And obviously, one big factor for you is that you feel that you're not qualified for it. Okay. But with the negative comes positive as well. So that's just one thing. Look at all the other things. If you need that boost, if you need that confidence boost, look at all the other things. That this is something that you said that you really want. So you're going to be really passionate about it. You're going to be really driven to do well in it, right? And that's, I mean, depending on what you're doing. If what you want to do is be a brain surgeon and you really want to do it, but you're not qualified to do it, then there might be a wee bit of an issue there. There's certain things where we really need to have that technical knowledge, and there's no substitute for that. So sometimes what it might say to you is, do you know what, if you want to do this, then you need to put yourself in the position to be able to do that. All right. But here I feel that this is giving you a boost. This is telling you to go for it. So I'm assuming that you're not the job isn't brain surgeon. It's not something where you really have to have that technical background, that technical knowledge. Otherwise, you just can't do it. The advice card is justice. So justice is all about cause and effect. It's all about karma. It's all about kind of cycles and stuff. So yeah, again, I don't want to kind of delve too deeply into these cards. I feel like what it's saying is just, take the good with the bad. Where you're putting yourself down, also look at the positives. Weigh up all your options, and go for it. But don't be too disheartened if you don't get it, because you're on the path that you're meant to be on. You're where you're meant to be, and yeah, I feel that you're going to do well regardless. But definitely go for it, and I hope that's helpful. Oh, I am roasty toasty. Charge ahead like the chariot, agreed, overthinking. Ultimately the outcome is not up to me. I mean, what I'm saying is ultimately you're on the right path, you're where you need to be, and you're headed to a really good place. It's not so much that the outcome isn't about it's not up to you. All I'm saying is I think that you're headed for great things. And unless you were to kind of deliberately try and derail that and try and put yourself in a shit position, then I think that that's going to happen for you. So I suppose in a way, yeah, that's one way to put it, that it's not up to you, but in the best way possible, But I'm a believer that we all have control over our own path and stuff. I don't believe that there's, some big mysterious figure pulling the strings, as it were. So, yeah. Okay, folks, what time are we on? We're on 12 minutes past 10. What I'll do another wee general reading just to close us out, and then I will love yous and leave yous. I want to say thanks very much to everyone who's here. Thank you for asking questions. It's much appreciated. And yeah, I'm not sure if you'll still be live, but I'll stick the link in again actually. But I know that Gerald was definitely live at some point with some other friends, also doing readings. So once this is done, pop over and see Gerald, and see what kind of a shenanigans he's up to. All right, a general reading for us for the weekend. Okay, so we're bookended by these fours. This tells me that the weekend is going to be pretty stable. There's nothing nothing terrible happening this weekend. Nothing that's going to kind of upset things too much. I suppose the only thing that I would say is sometimes these two particular fours can feel a wee bit too stable. With the Four of Coins, sometimes we find ourselves being a wee bit too attached to, or clinging on a wee bit much to, the things that we perceive to be valuable in our lives. And sometimes what it's asking us to do is take a wee look at that, take a wee look at where you place value in your life and ask yourself, are these things really important? The Four of Cups is a kind of a different type of kind of a stagnancy. The Four of Cups is sometimes what it's saying is that that there's something happening around about you that you're maybe not appreciating. You've got yourself into a bit of a slump where you're just feeling a wee bit turned off by things, just feeling a wee bit fed up. And because of that mindset, there's opportunities that you're missing. Okay. So those are just things to think about. Think about the opportunities around you and think about where you're placing value in your life. Okay. But like I say, generally speaking, there's nothing terribly bad here. There's nothing, there's no tower cards. There's no lightning bolt coming to strike us down, to shake us up. If we're looking for a pretty quiet, stable weekend, then we've got that. We do have this Page of Swords in the middle. So if this is a weekend where you want to go ahead and learn something new, where you want to just we were talking earlier about kind of a catching up with friends and stuff, having a good old chin wag, a good old chat, a good old gossip, a good catch up. Then by all means go for it. If you feel like learning something new, then I feel as though there's a really good environment for that. That's the positive thing about this stable, home and emotional environment is it gives us a bit of headspace to do some of that hard brain work that we maybe wouldn't have had time for otherwise. Okay. So I suppose just use that stability wisely is maybe what the page is saying. Use it in a way where you can do something that you wouldn't necessarily have been able to do if you had a bit more of a up in the air weekend. And I'll leave it at that. So I hope everyone has a really good weekend. And don't do anything I wouldn't do. Don't get into trouble. I'm sure you won't because we're all very sensible. And yeah, be good to yourself. Have fun. Take care. Thank you very much for being here again. And I will see you all later. Bye bye.